Hi everybody, I am Chandra Kirtunia, assistant teacher in English as a model government high school, Gopalganj. Dear students, today again I have come to stand before you to take an online class. And today also we'll learn from the voice changing. Okay boys? In your previous classes we learned from active to passive. Today also we'll learn there because another part, the rest part of the voice changing I did not finish in that day. So today I think we'll learn from there. So voice changing. Okay boys, before entering into the discussion, at first I would like to write the structure of the changing voice as usual. This structure, okay? So object first, then the auxiliary verb, next is to use not, then the use of being, or been, then that part of is to write down the V3, then you will write the second object, okay boys, then you will write by, and finally subject. This is the structure of changing a voice. Okay boys, so now especially we will learn how to use be from the function of be being, how to use when we will use be. Today especially we will learn that. So now I am writing, before that I am writing some modal auxiliaries. Modal boys, modal auxiliaries. That's only not full form I should use because time should be set by us. Modal auxiliary, and there shall, will, should, would, can, could, may, might, must, need, to, have to, has to, ought to, is going to, are going to, is to, are to, etc. Actually these are the auxiliaries, modal auxiliaries. Understand boys? So these are the modal auxiliaries. So today we will use this sort of auxiliaries in the sentences and we will finish the voice changing. So one by one I will give examples and we will try to change that. Number 1, he can the work. Dear boys, look here. The sentence is he can do the work. This is the subject, this is the auxiliaries, and this is the main verb, and this is the object. So first of all, we will write the work. Clear? The work. Then what is the function of you? The function is to write down the auxiliaries. And what is the auxiliary? Can. Okay, student, I have written here can. After using can auxiliaries, then you will try to write not, but we will not write not. Okay, omitting this, now we will try to write down from here. Here can. Look, these are the modal auxiliaries. Okay, these are the modal auxiliaries. So in this case, if you find the modal auxiliary like this, then you will take or pick up from here the B. What B? So we will write now B. The work can be. Okay, boys. The work can be. Now I will write. What I will write? I will write here V3. Now it is the main verb do. So done. The work can be done. Okay. And then V3. After writing V3, then you are allowed to write second object. There is no use of any kind of second object, and that's why you will not write that. Okay. So next activity is to use by. So I have written here by, and finally we will write or use the subject of active voice. And what is the subject here? He. And we know he should be transmitted or changed into him. Is it clear to you, boys? I think it is clear. Okay. Now I am giving the second example. One by one, I will try to use all these auxiliaries, all the modal auxiliaries in the sentences, and I will try to change that. Number 2. You should respect your parents. Dear boys, the sentence is here. You should respect your parents. So what is the voice ending here? According to rules of the voice ending, first of all we will take up the object here. What is the object? The object is your parents. So now I will take the object your parents. Okay. So dear boys, the object is your parents. Okay. Your parents. Your parents. Then you will write the auxiliary. Here the auxiliary is should. So I will write should. So this is the auxiliary, and then we will try to use not, but there is no use of not, that's why we will not write that. Okay, next go to the fourth option, and that is writing down be, being or been. Be, being or been. So what should be written down here from be, being? You know, boys, if we find the modal auxiliary in the sentence, only then you will use the be from be, being. Okay. So should, look here, this is the modal auxiliary should, shall, will, should, would. So if you find this kind of auxiliaries or modal auxiliaries in the active voice, then you will use be. So should be. Your parents should be. Okay. Then boys, you will write down the B3. So what is the main verb? Respect. So respected. Your parents should be respected. Okay. Then boys, write down the object, second object. Look here, there is no second object. So you are not allowed to write any kind of second object. So omitting the step of second object, then we will go to next options, and that is using by. So I will write here by. And finally, you will try to change the subject. And what is the subject? You. And we know you and you. You is the nominative and objective is also you. So we will write here you. Understand, boys? I think it is clear to you, right? Okay, fine. Okay, next. I am going to the next example and we will try to change the voice. Actually, voicing is very much easy, very easy. Among all the grammatical items in English second paper, I think this is really the easier function to you and interesting also. Changing voice is really interesting. Okay, boys. Now I will enter into discussion of next step. From the next step, now I will use in the sentence note. Look, number 3. We should not waste time. We should not waste time. Okay, sorry. We should not waste time. Student, here, what is the subject? The subject is we. What is the auxiliary? Auxiliary is should. Is there any use of any kind of negation or? Yes, that is not. Then what is the main verb? This is the main verb and this is the object. So first of all we will write the object. And what is the object here? Time. Okay, boys, time. So time. Then the auxiliary. And what is the auxiliary? Auxiliary should. So time should. Okay? Time should. And then we will try to use not. As we are finding here the use of not, so we will write not. Time should not. Okay? And then be bin being. As this is the modal auxiliary, so we will write be. So time should not be. Then B3. What is the main verb? Waste. Wasted. Time should not be wasted by it. Understood, everybody, student? I think you are now. It is now seeming to you that very much interesting. Voice changing. I think you are now feeling interest in changing voice. If you are attentive, you must feel interest in English grammar. There are some students who don't find any kind of interest in grammar, but really, actually I am saying that if you are attentive and if you try to understand the grammar, then you will discover that it is really very much interesting. Getting any item by heart, I think that is very much tough. Realizing grammar is a part of realizing. Realizing is really very interesting. If you realize, if you understand one time, if you understand the grammar, then you will find interest. There are some boys who find very much interest to do mathematical term or mathematics. The students who find interest in mathematics, they always do mathematical tasks, in this way, if you find interest in grammar, then you will always try or attempt to do that when you find time or leisure time. So be attentive, and I think, and I am giving you word that you will find interest. Okay, boys. Now I will write another example. Number 4. If I say writing this way, they must not they must not neglect the duties. They must not neglect the duties. Student, look here. This is the subject. This is the modal auxiliary. This is the negation note. This is the main verb, and this is the object. So first of all, we will pick up the object. What is the object here? The duties. So write the object. The duties. Okay. And then you will write the auxiliary. What is the auxiliary? The auxiliary is here must. Okay, must. Then what will you write? We will write not, because there is not. So not. Then we will write the use of be bin being. As we have found here the use of must, the auxiliary, modal auxiliary, we will use here be. And next V3. What is the V3 here? Main verb is neglects and neglected. Okay, neglected. After this, we will try to write down the second object, but there is no use of any kind of second object, so we will omit this. And the function, next function is to write by. And after it, you will write down the subject. What is the subject here? They. They should be changed into them. Okay, boys. So this is the object, and this is the function of changing this kind of voice from, especially from active to passive. Now I will give another example. We want to respect. You have to respect all the teachers. Boys, look, the example is we want to respect all the teachers. So if I ask you what is the subject, you will say, sir, we is the subject. Right, students? If I ask you what is the auxiliary, you will say, sir, what to is the auxiliary. What kind of auxiliary is this? You will say, sir, this is the modal auxiliary. So not what to is the auxiliary. And then the main verb is respect. Okay, clear? And the object is all the teachers. All the teachers. Now we'll change this voice. So I am asking, well, what I will do now? Will I take the object, the teacher first? Yes, of course. I will take the object teachers, all the teachers. All the teachers. So this is the object, all the teachers. Then the auxiliary. What is the auxiliary here? What is the auxiliary here? The auxiliary is, look here, auxiliary is what to, okay? So what to? All the teachers ought to, and then we will try to use not, but there is no use of any kind of not, so we will not write it. So after this function, we will go to the next function. And what is the next function? The next function is to write down the be bin me. And of course, here we are allowed to use be, because there is the auxiliaries, and that is what to. So what to be. So all the teachers ought to be, and then V3. And what is the V3 what is the main verb? Respect. And what is the form of V3 that means past participle of respect? We know respect, respected, and respected. So respected. And then V3. After writing V3, then you are allowed to write down the object, second object. But look here, student, there is no use of any kind of second object. As there is no second object, so we will not write that. Okay? So omitting the second object, now we will enter into the next discussion, and next item is to use the by. So now we will use here by. Okay? By. And the finally we will change the subject. What is the subject here? The subject is we. So we know we should be changed into aj. So this is the voice changing. Okay, boys. Now I will give another example. Okay, I am giving another example. From here you will try to understand. Now it is a lockdown periods. You all are in your house. You are deprived of taking the interesting class, participating in the classroom. I especially I am, or all the teachers, especially I also miss you. I feel you very much, and we are eagerly waiting to meet you at the classroom. If the situation is go under control, then very soon we will meet in our classroom. We can hope that. We pray to God so that all the situations go under control and the COVID-19 will be driven not only from our country but also in the world by the bless of God. We all pray. Okay, any of us now enter into the next discussion. Now I am going to give another example, and that is these students are going to start a school garden. Okay, boys, look here. The students are going to start a school garden. So if I ask you what is the subject here, you will say, sir, the subject is these students. What is the auxiliaries here? Not the auxiliaries are. Auxiliary, rather the auxiliaries are, this is the term, phrasal auxiliaries, this kind of auxiliaries is called the modal auxiliaries also. Are going to, this is the part, and this part is called the totally, this is the modal auxiliary, not are. Are going to is the auxiliary. Are going to, remember, are going to. From here to there, this is called the auxiliary, okay? And main verb is start. Main verb is start, and the object is a school garden, okay? A school garden is the object. So at first here we will write down the object. And what is the object here? The object is the a school garden. So at first we will write a school garden, okay, boys? A school garden. Okay, I have already written down the object. Now the function is to write down the auxiliary. What is the auxiliary? The auxiliary is here, not am is or, rather the auxiliary is here are going to. So you will write here are going to. But are going to, as it is the form of singular term, so are going to should not be used here. You should write here is going to. Okay. So school garden is going to. School garden is going to. So we have already written down the auxiliary. Now we will try to write down the next part. Next part is to write down not. But there is no mentioning of any kind of not. That's why we will not write down. Okay, understand, students? So we are not writing down the not. So after this, now we will go into the next options, and the next option is to write down the be bin be. So we think we will use here be bin because here we are finding the use of auxiliaries, and the use of what kind of auxiliaries here? The auxiliaries here the modal auxiliary, and that is going to or are going to. So after writing modal auxiliaries, you are allowed to use only be. So is going to be. Okay, boys. A school garden is going to be. Then V3. Okay, V3. What is the main verb here? Start. And what is the third form or past participle form of the start? Started. Okay, boys. Started. A school garden is going to be started. And then second object, but there is no mentioning of any kind of second object, so we'll omit that. So then we'll use by. Okay, boys. By. And then subject. What is the subject here? These students. Okay. Students, I think now you all have understood about the voice changing, especially from active to passive. So I can hope that the voice changing is now an easier function to you. Can I have students? Okay, fine. So I think today we have already discussed about all the rules of changing active to passive voice. So again, I am summarizing the today's discussion. From our today's discussion, we learned especially to use be in the passive voice. When and what is the case when we'll use the be? If we find the use of modal auxiliaries in the active voice, only then we will use be. Okay, students. So the structure is object, then auxiliary verb, then not, then use of being, then V3, the second object, then by, and finally the subject. Okay. So if I ask you what is the first activity of you, sir, picking up the first object, then picking up the writing the auxiliary, then try to write down not, then try to write down the being, then V3, that means first person of the main verb. After writing the main verb, then you will try to write down the second object, and then you will write by, and finally you write the subject of the active voice. In this way, a voice should be changed from active to passive. Dear student, I think now you all are understood about changing voice. So today I have already finished all the discussion, and I am hopeful that you are now available to change voice changing. Okay, so thank you, students. Thank you once again. Stay safe and blessed. Goodbye. Bye.